My name is Rich Tisdale, and I am the Technology Engagement Manager for Lismore & Associates. And what that basically means is I'm a developer, a web developer essentially, coder, who builds a lot of tools that exist for Lismore & Associates agents and staff to essentially run the business and help agents do their work more efficiently. So what do I like about working for Lismore? Probably a lot of people say this, but I would say her enthusiasm. And that leads to a lot of other things because her enthusiasm leads her to be this endless font of ideas. So she's constantly coming up with new things for me to build for the back end, the business end of Lismore & Associates for the agents to use, all sorts of different tools and things like that. And so because she's constantly coming up with new things for them to use, it's a very challenging but very rewarding because I get to do things I often don't even know how to do, so I have to learn how to do it. Or use skill sets that I have, but in different ways. But the best part of this is not just that the work is challenging and rewarding, is that I get to see the impact that it has directly on the company, so that the agents get to use tools that I've created for them, and I get to hear back virtually instantly how it makes their life better or easier or more efficient in some way. I get to actually give classes that speak to them directly on how to take advantage of the tools that I've developed for them and the little features within there. And a lot of times some of these things that I tell them or advise them on how to use, they didn't even know existed. Not necessarily the entire tool, but just a little feature within the tool, and it can make the difference between being something that they just look at and didn't really take advantage of versus really taking advantage of a tool and seeing the power and the efficiency they can gain from it as a result of knowing some tips and tricks to take advantage of it. I think with a big box provider or a third-party service that's national that you go out to, they don't do any of that. They're building something that's going to fit as many needs for as many people out there, whereas I'm fitting what Lismore & Associates needs specifically. And sometimes that means a handful of agents can have an idea, or one agent can have an idea that no one else has thought of. And if they're able to communicate that to me, we can turn that into a feature, whereas a big national provider wouldn't even begin to think of doing something along those lines. So we're able to customize things and create things for agents that allow them to make the way they work more efficiently. Rather than them having to adapt to a product, we can adapt to them and their workflow. You know, people sometimes say, oh, I'm not a technical person, so I don't know. You know, they're worried about conversing with me on a technical level. And I'm like, no, it's actually better in some ways if you're not a technical person, because the goal of these tools is to give you something that is so easy to use. It's like a hammer. You don't need instructions on a hammer. You don't need to go to the help menu for a hammer. You see it, you could guess what it's for. It's for pounding things. So we want to build things that virtually are intuitive on the spot. That's something that you can grab and use and it makes sense. And so the way to do that is to talk to people directly and say, well, forget about the technology, how it would be done. If you could wave a magic wand, what do you wish could happen? And so I think that's a fun question to ask, because then it frees them, because you can see them kind of relax, because then they're like, oh, I don't have to know fancy technical terms or fancy computer terms. I can just say, you know, I really wish there was a way that it could do, you know, this, this, and this. And I'm like, guess what? It can. You know, so that I think makes a big difference. I'm Rich Tisdale, and I'm helping to reinvent real estate.